Let's go to Ken Delaney and NBC's Intelligence and National Security Report. Also have Ambassador Mike McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to the Russian Federation. Ken, you know more about this than just about anybody out there. And tell us what is new in this reporting. Is it the emails? And flesh it out for us.
Sure, Richard. Yeah, this story lays out some new emails that the New York Times have obtained, but it essentially cements what we learned yesterday, which is that contrary to the impression that Mike Flynn was acting on his own in this secret outreach to Sergei Kislyak during the transition, it's very clear now that senior members of the Trump team were read into this. It's not clear that they knew exactly what Flynn was saying to Sergei Kislyak, but these emails show that they were all sort of talking to one another about the Obama administration's decision to impose sanctions as punishment for Russia's election interference, and how they would sort of outreach to Russia to tell them, not to react too strongly to that because they were concerned. Don't forget, the Trump team had a stated policy of improving relations with Russia. And so it raises the question, though, because don't forget, Mike Flynn lied to Vice President Pence about what he said to Sergei Kislyak. He said he didn't talk about sanctions. All this new reporting and the court documents yesterday raise the question of who else in the Trump inner circle, and did Trump himself know what Mike Flynn was saying to Sergei Kislyak? Because the context suggests that other people were at least thinking along the same lines, Richard.
And thanks for laying that out for us, Ken. Mike, what is your reaction to these new pieces of information within the last 24 hours? It's not just Mike Flynn, right? It could be more. Reince Priebus is in the discussion here, according to the New York Times reporting here. And as Ken is saying, did the president know? Did the president-elect know? What point was what known? Your reaction?
Well, I want to be clear. Some of us, including Ken and I, for months have been suspicious of this idea that General Flynn was some kind of rogue actor, making up foreign policy on his own. I mean, think about the context. Go back to the context. They are in the transition. They are trying to figure out who is who on the team. This is a major piece of diplomacy that he's going to do. And I've always found it inconceivable that he would do that without some coordination with the people he's about to join in the White House. I worked on the transition in 2008 with President-elect Obama, and you are always looping in more and more people to do tiny little things because you were trying to figure out who had what responsibility. And what we've learned today is just more evidence to that fact. What we don't know is exactly who was looped in. Was it the vice president? Remember, he was the head of the transition. Or was it the president-elect himself?
And Ken, if you're a Sunday football watcher or a Monday quarterback, you'll look at this and you'll say, well, the president, since the election, consistent potentially with this very thematic, he doesn't like to lose, and he has been going back to the 3 million votes, right? That's been one of the headlines. And in this case, if this reporting is true, the president would not like to see his win being questioned after he has already won, based on this very headline of, well, it is because of the Russians, so he really didn't win. This would be consistent potentially with that very idea.
Oh, absolutely, Richard. Look, I mean, Donald Trump was the most pro-Russian presidential candidate in modern history. He was very clear about that, even when it became controversial. He has yet to say a bad word about Vladimir Putin, and he has utterly repudiated the findings of his intelligence community that Russia interfered in the election and helped him get elected. So that's where we start from. And, it's very clear that his team was trying to assuage the Russians, even as the Obama administration was trying to sanction the Russians for interfering in the election. And now what this report and yesterday's court documents show is the context of that.
The context. And while the president has not said a bad word about Vladimir Putin, the Russian government has said a bad word about you, Ambassador, and I understand that you were blacklisted. What has happened? How did you get to this point?
Well, that happened long ago.
Yeah.
I was put on the sanctions list in retaliation for what the Obama administration, the list that they put together in response to Russia's annexation of Ukraine. I don't think I deserve to be on that list, but I understand the tit-for-tat process in that exchange.
And still to this day, you are blacklisted.
Yes, to the best of my knowledge. But I think I just hosted the new Russian ambassador to the United States here at Stanford yesterday, and I think he made it pretty clear that I won't get off that list until a number of very senior Russians get off that list.
All right. Ambassador McFaul, thank you so much. Ken Delaney, as always, your reporting. I appreciate it.